Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of GNS Sports Podcast. My name is Gavin, and I'm going to tell you the news and scores of yesterday's, today's, and the day before's, or tomorrow's matches. Starting off in the NHL, the Maple Leafs beat the Capitals 5-1. The Penguins beat the Blue Jackets 3-2. The Senators beat the Blackhawks 2-0. The Canadiens beat the Flyers 4-1. The Panthers beat the Islanders 3-2. The Hurricanes beat the Red Wings 4-0. The Golden Knights beat the Jets 4-1. The Wild beat the Sharks 3-1. The Blues beat the Flames 5-3. The Rangers beat the Avalanche 3-2 in a shootout. The Oilers beat the Kings 4-1. The Stars beat the Canucks 3-1. The Kraken beat the Ducks 4-2. And the Predators beat the Coyotes beat the Predators in an 8-4 upset. Today, there's only one match. The Sabres beat the Devils 5-2. For tomorrow, the Red Wings versus the Panthers at 10:30 a.m. The Golden Knights versus the Wild at 1:30 p.m. The Ducks versus the Oilers at 2 p.m. The Rangers versus the Coyotes at 4 p.m. The Predators versus the Avalanche at 4 p.m. The Senators versus the Jets at 5 p.m. The Penguins versus the Blue Jackets at 5 p.m. The Blackhawks versus the Flyers at 5 p.m. The Islanders versus the Lightning at 5 p.m. The Hurricanes versus the Canadiens at 5 p.m. The Bruins versus the Capitals at 5 p.m. The Maple Leafs versus the Sabres at 5 p.m. The Sharks versus the Blues at 6 p.m. The Stars versus the Kraken at 8 p.m. and the Kings versus the Flames also at 8 p.m. Now I've got two NHL news stories. Marc-Andre Fleury tells NHL.com France he could return to the Wild next season. Marc-Andre Fleury still has that passion, the fire is still burning inside. To borrow his expression, and that fire is not likely to be extinguished by the end of the season. The door is more open today for a return than it was in September or October, Fleury said this week. Several months ago, the Minnesota Wild goalie sounded more like a player who was getting ready for his final stages of his NHL career. When reminded of this fact, the 39-year-old flashed his classic smile before gathering his thoughts. I also thought it was going to be my last season, he said. When we spoke this past summer, I was telling myself I was preparing for one last year, but the mood has changed. Training camp wasn't easy. My hips were hurting. We were losing games at the start of the season. I wasn't playing the way I wanted. I ended up feeling better, and I started playing better. I rediscovered the joy of playing hockey for the first few months. I wasn't finding it very fun. I had hip problems, and the team was struggling. For other news, the Edmonton Oilers' Connor McDavid becomes the first player since Wayne Gretzky to record 3 straight 20-point seasons. Connor McDavid joins some exclusive company last night when he scored a goal against the Kings. That goal, which opened the scoring, helped McDavid reach the 120-point mark this season, the third time in his career he has done so, and for a third consecutive campaign. In doing so, he just became the 7th NHL player in history to have 3 straight seasons of 120 points, and the first to do it since Wayne Gretzky did during the 1991-1992 season. This is the latest milestone in what has been another productive season for the 27-year-old. McDavid already became the 7th player in the league history and the only active player to have 700-point seasons earlier this month. He is on pace to record his 8th straight 30-goal campaign, and the only third active player to reach the feat, alongside Alex Ovechkin and Austin Matthews. More impressively, he's set to become the 4th player ever to have 100 assists in each year, and the first since Gretzky achieved this feat during the 1990-91 season. Simply put, McDavid is in the prime of his career, and there are no signs that he is slowing down anytime soon. If anything, he still has a lot more left to give, and it would not be surprising if he were to rewrite the record books some more outside of the two aforementioned records he is set to achieve before the campaign draws to a close. Put it this way, when his contract expires in the summer of 2026, he will be severely underpaid regardless of the cap hit. That is how special of a player he is and why he continues to be the best in the league right now. Now for the NBA. See yesterday's games here. Yesterday, the Hawks beat the Celtics 123-122 in overtime, and the Pelicans beat the Bucks 107-100. For today's game, the Clippers beat the Magic 100-97. The Pistons beat the Wizards 96-87. The Pacers beat the Lakers 109-90. The Warriors beat the Hornets 115-97. The Nets beat the Bulls 125-108. The Cavaliers beat the 76ers 117-114. The Thunder beat the Sun 128-103. The Heat beat the Trailblazers 142-82. Imagine losing by 60 points. It's overtime between the Spurs and the Knicks, and it was 24 seconds left. It's looking like the Spurs will win 128-126 so far. It's the third quarter, and the Timberwolves are currently beating the Nuggets 83-63. It's halftime between the Rockets and the Jazz, with the Jazz leading 47-41. And in the second quarter, the Kings are beating the Mavericks 36-26. Now for tomorrow's game, there's only three. The Celtics versus the Pelicans at 3 p.m. tomorrow. The Grizzlies versus the Magic at 5 p.m. tomorrow. And the Bucks versus the Hawks at 5:30 p.m. tomorrow. Now for NBA news. NBA playoffs 2024 latest clinching scenarios. These are the latest scenarios for playoff clinching, seeding, and elimination. For games played on March 29th, Denver clinches a playoff spot with a win and a Sacramento loss. As I mentioned recently, the Timberwolves are currently beating the Nuggets 85-64 at close to the end of the third quarter, while the Sacramento Kings are currently winning to the Mavericks 36-26. So far it's not looking good for the Nuggets for a playoff spot. And so far only the Boston Celtics have clinched a playoff spot in the NBA. Now for the Prem scores of the Prem games of match day 30 of 38. Newcastle versus West Ham at 6:30 a.m. tomorrow. Chelsea versus Burnley at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Sheffield United versus Fulham at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Nottingham Forest versus Crystal Palace 9 a.m. tomorrow. Bournemouth versus Everton 9 a.m. tomorrow. Tottenham versus Luton Town 9 a.m. tomorrow. Aston Villa versus the Wolves 11:30 a.m. tomorrow. Let's go Aston Villa. Brentford versus Man United 2 p.m. tomorrow. Also, let's go West Ham. Liverpool versus Brighton at Sunday, March 31st, 7 a.m. And Man City versus Arsenal, also on Sunday at 9:30 a.m. And that's it for this episode of GNS Sports Podcast. Sorry for the weird pop-up, but it was on accident. But I hope you all have a good this isn't the last episode versus Easter. We're going to have an Easter episode, but it'd still be just me. But I hope you all have a good rest of your day, and we'll see you in the next episode. Why does my mic keep unplugging? Bye.